Can someone give me a quick recap of what are the topics we have covered so far? At least the headings. Nishok, can you just tell me what topics we have covered so far? Or at least somebody volunteer and tell me what topics we have dealt so far.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
We looked into what data mining is,
Yeah.
kinds of data meant for mining, then data cleaning, data integration detection, and I think we saw until data cube and its usage, ma'am.
Data cleaning and all those things, what do we call it as? Data cleaning, integration, transformation. We discussed pre-processing, post-processing and all those things. What is that, all those things called as? Knowledge discovery process, knowledge discovery in databases, or in fact, that is a data mining process. Okay, so we saw that with a big diagram. So that is actually what we are going to learn in the different units, the various techniques for doing that, the knowledge discovery process or the data mining process. So that was dealt in detail. After that, we looked into the types of data for data mining. Then we also looked into the kind of patterns, kind of patterns that can be mined by by briefing about the various data mining functionalities. Okay, so that's where we stopped in the previous class. Okay, so today let's get on to what are the technologies. Okay, before that, what is data mining constituting? Or data mining is a confluence of multiple disciplines. You can look at the picture that is being depicted here: statistics, pattern recognition, machine learning, the various visualization and applications, algorithms, the database technology, and HPC, high performance computing. So these are all the disciplines which contribute to data mining. Okay. Okay. So now moving on to the next topic. Okay, so we have one more PPT which shows why data mining is a confluence of multiple disciplines, because we deal with big data, or a tremendous amount of data, highly scalable to handle terabytes of data. Then we have something called high dimensionality of data, that is data with dimensions more than 100 or of the order 100 and above. Then we call it as high dimensional data. Then complex data, all these data are complex data, and we all deal with new and sophisticated applications. Okay, so now moving on to the kind of applications that are targeted. What are the applications of data mining? Okay, so in the past few classes also, I had mentioned about the data mining applications, but still, let's just have a glance at what are the various data mining applications. Okay, so you can see here, web page analysis, recommendation systems. Then, of course, one of the most important applications of data mining, nothing but your basket data analysis. Basket data analysis for targeted marketing. What is this basket data analysis? I think in the previous class, I told you about market basket analysis and association data mining or association analysis, about which in detail you'll be learning in the second unit. Okay, so that's basically a technique to find out the groups of items that can be brought together in a supermarket or in store. Okay, so the analysis of the various transactions happening in the stores will show the patterns, like which items are being brought together. For example, if it is bread and butter, or which are the items having higher sales volume on certain days, maybe on weekends, maybe on Fridays. Like, let's assume that 5 working days and 5 days, on the fifth day, which are the items which is having more sales. Okay, so those kind of trends and patterns can be which was not visible prior, can be found out by analyzing the various transaction data. Okay, so those kind of information will help in planning the store layout, offering special discount to the items. Maybe the items which are less in demand or not so popular can be given some discounts. Like you can create offers like buy two get one free, or get 50% on the second purchase, all these kind of things can be given. Okay, so that's basically to improve the business and profit, market basket analysis. Okay, so among all these, I just gave importance to that because the second unit we are going to discuss in detail. Then, of course, biological medical data analysis, another application of data mining with all these techniques being used. Then, of course, another application area which is very popular is artificial intelligence. Okay, so what is this artificial intelligence? For example, in data mining terms, I can tell that a system is being made artificially intelligent when you feed it with relevant patterns. Okay, so these patterns actually come from data mining or data mining outputs. Okay, so the outputs of the artificial intelligence systems, they are also being analyzed for their relevance. We should see whether those things are relevant or not during the various data mining techniques. A very good example is the you can see here, I've mentioned here, recommendation system or the recommender system. Okay, so that recommender system, they use basically make use of data mining technique to give personal recommendations. Yeah.
Ma'am, we can't see your screen, ma'am. I think you've stopped sharing.
Oh, sorry. Just a second. I think screen sharing. It was, I think I had shared the screen somehow. Just a second. Okay, so now is it visible?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah, this was the market basket analysis about which I mentioned initially. Then after that, I started with the next application. Yeah, recommendation system and artificial intelligence. Okay, so I was mentioning about this recommendation systems. This is under the topic applications of data mining. Okay, so personalized recommendations, giving the customers personalized recommendation when the people are interacting with the system. Okay, so artificial intelligence is being used, or machine learning techniques, which is a subset of artificial intelligence, is being used on the mined data to give product recommendations. How are these product recommendations being given? That's based on the past purchasing history, what the customer has purchased in Amazon or Snapdeal or Myntra or whatever. Okay, that's another popular application of data mining. Then again, again, it can be, data mining techniques can be used for crime prevention, cyber security. Data mining, I mentioned, it can detect outliers, from the vast amount of data. Outliers means it can be noisy data or something which does not get along with the group. Okay, so when we say crime prevention, the criminal data, so the data will be including all details of the crime that has already happened. Okay, so data mining will study the patterns and trends in that criminal data, and it will be able to predict whether a crime can occur in the future with better accuracy. Okay, so with the help of that information, the police department or the agencies can find out which are the areas which are more prone to crime. Okay, so more police can be deployed in such people, such areas. Okay, or which age group is more targeted, or the vehicle numbers which needs to be scrutinized. Okay, so problematic. All those things can be done with the help of data mining. Then again, your web search engines. Okay, and a number of applications are there. I just gave a few which I felt is more relevant in these days. Web search engines, be it your Yahoo or Google or Bing, they also use a lot of data mining techniques. Okay, so maybe on one of the classes we can take up a case study on it. So that's regarding the applications of data mining. Okay, so now coming to the companies which could use this. It's the same slide I'm using, not change the slide or anything. Okay, so for example, Amazon. Amazon will be using the text mining to give the lowest price for a particular product when the customer starts searching for a product. Or let's say McDonald's. Okay, so McDonald's will be using data mining, let's say to enhance its customer experience or customer waiting time. Okay, so it will start studying the pattern in which the customers will be ordering the products. Then how much waiting time, how to reduce the waiting time, the size of the order. So various things they'll be analyzing. Or your own very own Netflix. Netflix will find out how to make a movie or a series popular among the customers using its data mining insights. We have things like Google Insights and other things are there, which helps in this aspect. Okay, so that's regarding the application of data mining. So next, moving on to the next topic, major issues in data mining. Major issues in data mining. Okay, so moving on to the issues associated with data mining. So there are various aspects which should be looked into it, because we are not dealing with small data. We are all dealing with very large data. I mean, megabytes and terabytes and GBs and TBs of data. So what are the various aspects to be looked into, which could result in a issue? Okay, so first one is with respect with the mining methodology, the various aspects of mining, which should be looked into. Okay, so first is regarding mining various and new kinds of knowledge. New kinds of knowledge. Okay, because every time it will be a new customer, and it could be a different knowledge, and it could be in a different way it is being asked. That means different clients wants different kinds of information. So it really becomes difficult to cover a vast range of data that can meet all the client requirements. Okay, so since different people are different users are interested in different kinds of knowledge, it's necessary for the data mining to cover a broad range of knowledge discovery tasks. So this becomes a difficult task. So this is one of the major issues associated with the data mining. Okay, second one is mining knowledge in the multi-dimensional space. What is this multi-dimensional space? Dimension means the attributes or the fields. Okay, so this is I mean this we can call it as exploratory multi-dimensional data mining. Okay, so we view the data. I mean, we all deal with the multi-dimensional data, which can be viewed in the form of what is called a data cube. I have already mentioned about that in one of the classes. Okay, and data can be aggregated and viewed as a multi-dimensional data cube, and we can search for interesting patterns among different combinations of attributes at various levels of abstraction. Various levels of abstraction in the sense, for example, if it is a sales data, okay, I can aggregate it and view it at different levels. I can roll up the data or drill down the data at various levels. For example, if it is a sales data, at the highest level, maybe I can see a year-wise data. Okay, that is one level of abstraction at which you can see the data. Then at the next level, I can come down and see it as a quarterly data. Then again further, I can come down and see it as a monthly data. I'm drilling down. That's what is called online analytical processing. Then from monthly data, I can see weekly data. Then weekly data to daily data or hourly data. Okay, so analysis of data can be done at different levels of abstractions or at different levels. Okay, so the highest level of aggregation for this particular sales data example, what I gave was year-wise data. I can see the highest level of abstraction was year-wise data, and the lowest level was hourly data. Okay, so that's what. Then that is what mining knowledge in a multi-dimensional space. Okay, so I mean, a lot of issues can crop up when we do or when we try to view the data in multiple dimensions at different levels of abstractions. Okay, so at later point of time we'll look at what are the different analytical processing operations which can be done on the data. So just like you query the database, in here you can slice the data, dice the data, roll up the data, drill down the data, or roll down the data. So various operations can be done on the data which is being stored in the data warehouse. Okay, by viewing it as a data cube. Okay, so a lot of issues can come up which needs to be dealt with. Then the third one is data mining is nothing but it is written as an interdisciplinary effort. So previously I showed you what are all the data mining is a confluence of multiple disciplines. Okay, so actually you can make use of the power of data mining when you integrate methods from different disciplines, you can say. Okay, so for example, to mine the data with a natural language text, that is with respect to with your English language. Okay, so in that case, you will have to combine your data mining techniques with your natural language processing techniques along with your information retrieval techniques. So it is a interdisciplinary effort or combination or a fusion. Only then you can make use of the power of your data mining. Okay, then boosting the power of discovery in a networked environment. Okay, so when we say the data objects, they all reside in a interconnected environment. Whether it is a world wide web data, or it is some sort of database relations or tables which takes the form of an RDBMS, or files or documents. And then of course semantic links also may be existing across all these multiple data objects. Okay, so that also has to be looked into. Okay, only then you can boost the power of your discovery, knowledge discovery. Then another aspect which you have to look into is handling the noise, uncertainty and incompleteness of data. Okay, this, if it is not dealt correctly, if noise reduction techniques or data cleaning techniques are not looked into, okay, so this will result in erroneous patterns. You will get patterns which are not accurate, error in the pattern. Okay, then another aspect which has to be looked into is the pattern evaluation and constraint guided mining. Okay, because the point to be noted here is all the patterns whatever you mine out of your data, they are not interesting. Okay, so if it is interesting to one user, it may not be interesting to another user. Okay, so there are various techniques to assess the interestingness of the discovered patterns. All those things also you will be learning in the second and the third units. Okay, so based on the subjective measure, you will have to look for the goodness of a pattern. Okay, so then based on that, you can generate even more interesting patterns, and thereby you can even reduce the search space also. Okay, so all these has to be carefully done. Okay, that's another aspect which needs to be dealt with. So these are all the various aspects to be taken care as far as the mining methodology is concerned. Okay, second aspect is regarding the user interaction. Because the users, if it is data mining, it's the users which play an important role in the data mining process. Okay, so how to interact with the data mining system, how to incorporate the background knowledge in mining, how to visualize, how to comprehend the data mining results. Okay, so the users in fact play a very interactive role. Okay, so in all these aspects. Okay, so these are the three important points to be taken care as far as the user interaction is concerned. Okay, so from the previous classes, you would have understood that when we say data mining is a highly interactive process. Okay, so you should always have good UIs, good flexible UIs in the sense your user interfaces. Okay, so which will help the users to interact with the system in a easy to use manner. Okay, so the user may be sampling the data, exploring the general characteristics, seeing how it is, and then when we say interactive mining, it should even permit the users to refine their mining results based on the results what you're getting. Okay, so it should give flexibility. So in fact, you should have a good, flexible user interface. Okay, and you should be able to drill down the data, slice the data, dice the data, and do all the various interactive mining aspects. Okay, so all these is possible by the data cube, the cube space. Okay, so the next is incorporation of the background knowledge. So background knowledge, your constraints, rules. So everything will be bound by the constraints, rules. Whatever and information, whatever is related to the domain under study. So everything should be incorporated into the knowledge discovery process. Okay, so only then you can get a good, interesting patterns. Then the next one is presentation and visualization of the data mining results. Okay, so with the help of your good, visualization tools, as charts or graphs, so that it is easily understood by the top level management. Okay, so user friendly interfaces should be there, visualization techniques should be there, so expressive knowledge representation schemes should be there. Okay, so with the help of which you can represent the mind knowledge to the end user. Okay, so that is the second aspect, the user interaction and these 3 points. Okay, the third one is related to the efficiency and scalability of mining. Okay, so this comes into picture when we start comparing the different data mining algorithms. Data mining algorithms. Okay, so the efficiency and scalability of the data mining algorithm. Okay, so whether your data mining algorithm should be efficient and scalable. So they should be able to deal with huge amounts of data from different types of repositories, or they should be able to extract it in a real-time basis or from some data streams. Okay, so all these should be possible. Then another one is, second is parallel, distributed and incremental mining. Okay, incremental mining. Okay, so parallel and distributed data intensive mining algorithms are there for it. Okay, so what such algorithms will be doing is, it will first partition the data into subsets or into pieces. Okay, so each subset will be processed, and many such pieces will be there. They are all processed in parallel. Okay, so those subsets are being processed in parallel, and they're all being searched parallelly for interesting patterns. Okay, then finally all these parallel process, they'll interact with one another, and all the patterns whatever is being got from all the subsets will be eventually merged. Okay, so parallel data mining. Okay, so we have cloud computing, cluster computing, which supports in all these aspects, parallel data mining. These are all distributed data mining. Okay, so these are all techniques which deal with this. Okay, then of course incremental mining methods. How to improve your mining results based on the previous knowledge what is available, based on the previous queries. Okay, for example, you can improve the effectiveness of websites and all using incremental data mining. Okay, so you don't have to start every time from a scratch. Okay, so it will allow you to modify the previously obtained knowledge and incrementally amend and strengthen, and thereby provide better results. So that's what is incremental mining all about. Okay, so next we have diversity of data types, handling complex data, structured, unstructured, semi-structured data, complex data types, mining dynamic, network and global data repositories. Okay, so all these comes into picture out here. Okay, so structured data, like your relational data or your data warehouse data. So data warehouse data, what sort of data will be stored in the data warehouse? Preetika, what sort of data will be stored in the data warehouse? What sort of data will be stored in the data warehouse? Can somebody tell me? Historical data, right? Historical data. Data warehouse, the source is from heterogeneous data sources or from some OLTP systems, and it will be stored or it will be refreshed periodically. It is all the historical data which gets stored into your data warehouse. Okay, then you can have your hypertext data or multimedia data or software program or web data or social network data. Okay, so all various diversity of data types are being handled. Okay, then data mining and mining dynamic, network and global data repositories. Okay, so this also needs to be done in a careful manner. Okay, so how web mining and multi-source data mining, information network mining, all these topics come under this. Okay, so they're all very challenging and they're all fast evolving data mining fields. Okay. Then the fifth aspect is data mining and society. Societal impacts of data mining. Okay. So how does data mining impact the society? Okay. So, or what steps can be done in order to protect the privacy of the data mining or privacy of the users involved in data mining. So that comes under the topic called privacy preserving data mining. Okay. So, I mean, what steps data mining is taking to preserve the privacy of the individuals involved in it. Okay. So, do we use data mining techniques in our daily life, even without knowing that it's data mining? Okay. So, how this data mining technologies or techniques benefit the society? How can we guard against the misuse of it? Misuse of it. Okay. So, all these has to be addressed. Okay. Privacy preserving data mining, security protection. Okay. So all these, because data mining, with the help of data mining techniques, we can discover in real time the intruders and even cyber attacks. All these can be found out. Okay. But then in the course of doing all these things, it can also cause a risk to exposing your individual's personal information. Okay. So our objective should be to observe data sensitivity. At the same time, it should help to preserve the people's privacy. Okay. So while performing the data mining task successfully, then we have something called invisible data mining mentioned out here. What is this invisible data mining out here? Any idea? What is this invisible data mining out here? So we cannot expect everybody in the society to be learning data mining or mastering the data mining and be knowledgeable about data mining, right? And these days, we are all in a smart society or in a smart world. Okay, so systems should have smart data mining functionalities built into it so that people can perform data mining or use the data mining results simply by the click of a mouse, even without the knowledge of any data mining algorithms. Okay, so that's what these days intelligent search engines and other internet-based various services are trying to provide. Okay, so they are they are incorporating data mining functionality into their components to improve the performance. And many a times these things are done without the knowledge of the user also. Okay, for example, the recommendation system, they're all, we are doing it, but then many of us don't know what is underlying technology without it. Underlying technique behind all these things. Okay, so when you're purchasing items online, users may be unaware that the store is collecting their data, like regarding their buying pattern. Okay, which may be used to recommend other items for purchasing in the future. Okay, so a naive user may not be knowing that all these things are happening with the help of data mining techniques or machine learning techniques. So that's what is invisible data mining all about. Okay, so that completes the first part of your unit. Okay, so that, the last topic was major issues in data mining. Okay, so the next topic is getting to know about your data. So before I start with it, let me take attendance today. So this is to prevent students from asking me attendance at 9:50. So quickly answer your attendance. Anirudh?
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Then Dharini?
Present, ma'am.
Ramharini?
Present, ma'am.
Kalyan Sundar?
Present, ma'am.
Aravind? 17. Is somebody texting in the chat window? No. Okay, so Aravind is absent. Sharan Varghese? Aravind is present. Okay, noted. Sharan Varghese?
Present, ma'am.
Satyapriya?
Present, ma'am.
Nishok?
Present, ma'am.
Shreya?
Present, ma'am.
Likita?
Present, ma'am.
Suveda?
Present, ma'am.
Vishal Bhashyam?
Present, ma'am.
Srimati?
Present, ma'am.
Nityashri?
Yes, ma'am.
Pranav?
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, fine. Raja Singh?
Present, ma'am.
Pooja,
Yes, ma'am.
Lavanya,
Present, ma'am.
Nityashri,
Present, ma'am.
Sriram, Sriram, absent. Okay. Satyamohan,
Present, ma'am.
Sharan,
Present, ma'am.
Aviral Patel,
Present, ma'am.
Premavartini,
Present, ma'am.
Ajay. Ajay is absent. Akshata Saha,
Present, ma'am.
Karthik Balaji,
Present, ma'am.
who's this 117? Oh, that means 117 joined just now, straight away putting attendance. So I should not be giving. Okay. Karthik Balaji,
Present, ma'am.
Santosh Kumar,
Yes, ma'am.
Anand Arun. Anand Arun is absent.
Chat box, ma'am.
Chat box. Okay, Anand, noted. Rahul P,
Present, ma'am.
117.
Chat
Joined.
box.
Yeah, I saw that before even calling 5 minutes back. Attendance was marked here.
Can you hear me? I had a mic issue, ma'am, so I was calling.
Okay. Okay, fine. Apurva Ravichandran,
Present, ma'am.
Gitun,
Present, ma'am.
Adityan,
Present, ma'am.
Selva Niklesh,
Present, ma'am.
Ramcharan,
Present, ma'am.
Achinta Murari,
Present, ma'am.
Santosh Kumar,
Present, ma'am.
Pavitra Shri,
Yes, ma'am.
Praveen,
Present, ma'am.
Rakesh. Rakesh is absent. Okay, who's this now telling? Sriram, 59. Where were you, Sriram, when I called you? Then who's the other person? 71. 71. Mic issue, you can text in when I call out, right?
No, ma'am. I was now I rejoined through my mobile phone.
Fine. The C section, Nityashri Narasimhan,
Present, ma'am.
Nishok,
Present, ma'am.
Abel Prashant,
Present, ma'am.
Deepika,
Present, ma'am.
Kevin Kurian Joseph,
Present, ma'am.
Hiten,
Present, ma'am.
Adya,
Present, ma'am.
Jay Vora. Jay Vora is there, absent. Kishore,
Present, ma'am.
Sridevi present. Yash Rai,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
okay. Jayesh Kumar,
Present, ma'am.
okay, who is this? Jay Vora, okay, so everybody are present in only Rakesh is absent, right? Rakesh is present is mentioned here. Okay, Rakesh is also present. Any other absentees? Let me check. Okay, so the entire class is present today. But strength is only 53, including the faculty. Okay. So moving on to the next. I hope my screen is visible. Is the PPT visible?
Ma'am, this is Anirudh speaking. I actually had a network issue, so I rejoined now only. It took me a few minutes.
Fine, Anirudh, fine. Okay. All right. So moving on to the next topic. In fact, the next chapter. You have 3 chapters for first unit. So the first chapter was all about the fundamentals. So next is before you start straight away using the various data mining techniques. Okay. So you need to first make your data ready. Then understand about your data. Knowledge about your data. Get to know about your data. Okay. So in fact, that's the first step associated with the data pre-processing. Data pre-processing. When we say data mining, data pre-processing, data mining, and data post-processing, these are the 3 steps involved. Okay. So what are the types of attributes? What are the types of attributes or fields that make up your data? Or what are the values for each attributes? Okay, whether the attributes are discrete or continuous valued or whatever. So all these aspects which we should know. Okay, then we should, we should get some statistical descriptions about the data. Statistical descriptions about the data. Just a second. Just a second. Okay, then applies, to make use of some statistical descriptions of the data. Okay, for example, if it is a temperature attribute, maybe we can find out what is the average temperature by calculating what is called the mean, or what is the middle value by calculating what is called the median. Then the most frequently appearing temperature by calculating what is called the mode. Okay, so these are all in statistical terms called the measures of central tendency. Okay, same way measures of dispersion are also there. Quartile, interquartile range, skewness, skewness. So all these things will get, help us to get more insights about the data, which will help us to do subsequent analysis. Okay, so knowing about your data, knowing about your data objects, the attribute types, what are the values, then the basic statistics. So understanding all these things will make it easier to fill in the missing values. Or in case you have noisy data, how to smooth out the noisy data. Then in case there are outliers, spot the outliers in the process of what is called your data pre-processing. Okay, so these are the different types of data sets which we will come across. It could be records, which can take the form of relational records or data matrix or crosstabs. Have you heard about crosstabs? Cross-tabulation. So it's basically, in machine learning, I think it's being called as contingency table. Okay, so wherein you can quantitatively analyze the relation between two or more variables or multiple variables. Okay, so sales and marketing, it plays a very good important role, your crosstabs or cross-tabulation. Okay, or then it can take the form of graph and network, all these types of data. Then video data, temporal data, sequential, genetic sequence, spatial data. All these are the different types of data. Okay, data sets. Okay, now coming to the important characteristics of your structured data. Characteristics of the structured data. First one is what is called the dimensionality. What is this dimensionality? What is this dimensionality all about? What is this dimensionality? We discussed about n-dimensional, multi-dimensional data structure taking the form of a data cube and other things. So what is this dimensionality all about?
And the number of attributes in the
Yes.
data.
Yes, very good. The number of attributes or features that exist for a data set. Okay, so when we are dealing with real world data sets, okay, so it will be high dimensional data. When can we call a data set as a high dimensional data? In case the number of attributes is more than 100, equal to 100 or more than 100, then we can refer to it as high dimensional data. Okay, so then when it is high dimensional data, visualizing such data becomes difficult. It may not be possible to easily visualize with our eyes. So that's why we go for putting it in the form of viewing it as a data cube and viewing it in multiple different ways. Okay, so a lot of difficulties come up when we try to analyze this high dimensional data. Okay, so especially when you're trying to visualize and identify the data patterns, or when you're trying to train the machine learning models, a lot of difficulties come up. Okay, so these difficulties, whatever comes up when we are trying to train the machine learning models, due to the high dimensionality of data, so that is when we call it as the curse of dimensionality. Okay, so curse of dimensionality. Of course, there are various dimensionality reduction techniques like your principal component analysis and other things. Anyway, that is beyond the coverage of your syllabus. So I'm just telling you for your understanding, there are various such techniques which will help you to reduce the dimensionality of your data set, remove the irrelevant features and other things, and then be able to deal with the data set in a little more easier manner. Okay, so then the second one is sparsity. I hope you have understood regarding what is dimensionality and curse of dimensionality. Okay, so then sparsity. Okay, so what about sparsity? It's written here, only presence counts. Okay, Then again, sparsity and density, these are two related terms. So that will tell you whether the cells in your relation, whether it has got data or don't have data, whether it is populated or whether it is not populated. When I say data and a relation or a table, you should always be able to visualize it as a matrix with rows and columns. Rows are called records and columns are called attributes or fields. Okay, so the cells will either be filled with data or it will be having some zeros. Okay, so for example, in a particular region might sell only certain products, and it might never have data for some other products. Okay, so the presence counts, only the presence, whether if there is data or not counts. So that's what is sparsity all about. Okay, so if you say that the data set is 90% sparse, what it means that 90% of the cells in the relation, it's either filled with data or it is zero. So that's what it means. Okay. Then the third one is resolution. What about resolution? Resolution matters more with your pattern recognition techniques and other things. Pattern recognition. Okay. So the patterns in the data, that all depends on the level of resolution. If it is too fine, sometimes you may not be able to see the pattern. Okay, it could be fully, soaked in noise or whatever. Sometimes the patterns may disappear. So those things in pattern recognition and other things, it comes into picture. Then of course the distribution, what I just mentioned regarding the by making use of the measures of central tendency, mean, median, mode. Try to understand the then measures of dispersion are also there, skewness, range, interquartile range, percentile, and all those things, which will help you to understand the centrality and dispersion of the data. Okay, so these are all the important characteristics of the data. Okay, so next, moving on to what is called data objects. Okay, so you can see here the data sets are made up of what is called data objects. Okay, so the data objects represents a entity. Okay, for example, if it is a university management system in a student database, what could be the objects? The objects could be students, even the professors, courses, they all can be objects. Okay, so or in a sales database, the sales database, the objects can be customers, the store items, the sales. Okay, so in a medical database, the objects can be patients. Okay, so these data objects, they're all described by what is called your attributes. So I had told you, student as a object can be described by student's name, registration number, mobile number, or department. So these are the nothing but the attributes, attributes of the students. Okay, so yeah, they're also called samples, examples, instances, data points, objects, tuples. Tuples in DBMS terminology, tuples, records, rows, they're all synonymous terminologies. Okay, so and then data objects are described by attributes. Database rows, it's called database objects. Columns are called attributes. Attributes or fields. Okay, so these are the basic terminologies. Okay, then coming to attributes. Okay, coming to what is attributes. Attributes is nothing but columns or fields. Okay, so many of these terms are being used in different manner in different different places. Okay, so if it is data warehousing, we will call them as dimensions. In data warehouse, whenever when we speak about data warehouse, we use the term called dimension. Okay, so in case it is machine learning, this is in data warehouse. We use this in data warehouse. Let me call it as DWH. Data warehouse, we call it as a dimension. Then if it is machine learning people always speaks about features, features and feature vectors and other things. Okay, they all, machine learning literature will always use the terminology called feature. Okay, then if it is statisticians, they will be using the word called variables. Okay, so this is how the terminology is being used. Okay, so whereas our data mining and database professionals will be using the word called attributes. So this is what is being used by data mining. Okay, so they're all the same. That's what I meant to say. It's how it is being used in various domains. Okay, so when it comes to data warehousing, we call it as dimensions. When it comes to ML literature, we call it as features. The statisticians use the word called variables. Okay, then data mining and database professionals. In RDBMS terminology, they use the word called attribute. Okay, so this attribute can be of different types. Different types of attributes. You can see here. Nominal attributes. Please make a note of all these in your notebook. Okay, these are all important, very, very important. Be it data mining, machine learning, anything, a basic understanding of the attributes and the various aspects is very, very important. Okay, before you start using your algorithms and various techniques. Okay, these are the foundations. The first one is what is called your nominal attribute. Nominal attribute. It's also another name for it is categorical. I think I told about categorical data and continuous data. Okay, so nominal is also categorical, relating to names. That is what is nominal. Okay, then we have what is called binary. We will see this in detail. Okay, binary. Third one is numeric. Numeric, quantitative, which has two categorization, interval scaled and ratio scaled. So please make a note of all these. We will start discussing about this one by one. Okay, nominal, categorical. Okay, have you made a note? Okay, so first we'll start with the nominal data. Nominal data.
Ma'am, excuse
Yeah.
me. Ma'am.
Yeah.
So attribute wise, we have only nominal and categorical and numeric type of data. We don't have an image or a video or recording type, right? I mean, that's not.
We will have to attach a numeric value to it. Of course, we do have those kind of data. We'll be discussing. Once you finish this, you will understand that. Okay. So your image type of data or video type of data, what category it comes under. So let's first discuss this. Then you will understand under what it comes into. So first one is nominal data. You have what is called nominal data, which is also called categorical data. Categorical data. Categorical means relating to name. Okay, so it will be representing some sort of category, some code. Okay, that's what is called categorical data. So you can see they don't have any, the values will not be having any meaningful order. Okay, so you can see the examples are given here. Okay, the hair color, the marital status, it can be married, unmarried, or widowed, or whatever. Occupation, the ID numbers, zip code. Okay, there's no meaningful ordering for our nominal data. It's relating to the names. I think your time is up. Let me not waste your the second hour time. We'll continue in the next class. Right. Thank you. You have any doubts, you can ask me, or you can ask me in the next class. Nishok, it will be stored in your drive.